All right, so today we're going to be talking about mitosis. You will need your notes packet out. If you don't have your notes packet out, you need to get it out. You may remember mitosis from 7th grade. If not, no worries. Remember when we talked about cell theory, we said all cells come from pre-existing cells. Well, yesterday we talked about interphase, and today we need to talk about mitosis, the cell dividing. If you have your notes packet, you can go ahead and highlight 1.2. You should have 1.3 highlighted from the other day. So today we're going to be using a model to explain how mitosis forms body cells. We're going to be looking at the big picture. On Monday, we're going to get into phases. What are the different phases of mitosis, or the stages? So let's recap what we've done so far. Okay, we talked about the cell cycle. We said this is a loop. It includes mitosis and interphase. The other day we learned about interphase, and we talked about what cells do during interphase. What do cells do? They're not dividing, so what do they have to do? They have to get ready to divide. So their organelles and their DNA has to get copied. They have to grow. They're doing their regular job. If they're a muscle cell, they're contracting. If they're a heart cell, they're helping pump blood. If they're a nerve cell, they're sending nerve signals. So doing their job, growing, and copying the DNA so that then we can be ready to divide in mitosis is what the cell's doing in interphase. Today, now, we're going to talk about mitosis. What is mitosis? Well, mitosis is the process by which body cells divide to produce new cells. So you can see a cell dividing here. And the key here is we're using the word body cells. You might think, oh, Ms. Frankson, that means every cell in my body. Yes, except reproductive cells. We call those reproductive or sex cells. So mitosis, we don't use to make reproductive cells, so like sperm and egg cells. There's fancier terms. Body cells are called somatic cells, and sex cells or reproductive cells are called gametes. I'm just going to use the word body cells for simplicity's sake, and just know this means all the cells in our body except the reproductive cells. So here is where our cell divides to make new cells. We are going to write down that this to help us remember that it only happens in body cells. What are some examples? Stomach, liver, kidney. Not sex or reproductive cells. So can you think of another example of a body cell besides a stomach, liver, or kidney? Maybe you said blood cell, brain cell, muscle cell, eye cell. Those would all be examples. Heart cell. All right, moving on here. So one thing I want us to take a look at is this graph. This says gestational age. That means age of a baby before it's born. So a baby is born usually about 40 weeks. So this is before the baby's born. And look, we've got total cell number in billions. What happens to the number of cells in that baby when it's in the mother's stomach or in the mother's womb? Well, that number of cells increases by billions and billions and billions. Where do those new cells come from? Those new cells are coming from cell division, from mitosis. So why do we need mitosis? Why do we need to create new cells? That's what we're going to look at next. So the purpose of mitosis, two purposes. One, to grow like a little baby inside of a mother's womb. Even when that baby's born, it's going to continue to grow. You're probably still continuing to grow. So growth, in order for us to get taller or longer, we need to have more cells. One common thing people think, sometimes they think our cells just get bigger. Remember we said our cells can't get bigger. They can't move nutrients fast when they get too big. So instead, they split in half and create more cells. The other thing we need them for is to repair and replace old or damaged cells. When you fall down and you get a scrape, what happens? You bleed for a little bit. Then you get a scab. But eventually that scab falls off and you have new skin underneath. Well, where do those new skin cells come from? Well, they came from your other skin cells in the area dividing to produce new ones. When you take a sip of hot chocolate and it burns your mouth because it's too hot, or pizza. Oh, pizza's the worst, right? It burns your mouth. Your mouth and tongue don't stay burned forever because your body makes new cells to replace them. So to repair and replace old or damaged cells. So what I would like you to do, you can draw this little drawing next to your definition of mitosis here. So we've got a circle. This is our starting cell. Human cells have 46 chromosomes. They start with 46. So we're going to have a 46 inside of there to represent the 46 chromosomes that you have. You get 23 from your mom and 23 from your dad. Now remember, before we can divide, our DNA gets copied. So if we copy all these chromosomes and we had 46 to start with, how many are we going to have after we copy them? We're going to have 92. So you can draw another cell. We copied our chromosomes. We also copied our organelles, our ribosomes. So now we've got 92 chromosomes. So what's going to happen next? Well, the cell's going to split into two. So this cell's literally going to pinch in half and split in two. And it's going to have half of the stuff go to one side, half of the stuff go to the other. So the cytoplasm, half of that, half of the nucleus and the Golgi bodies and the ribosomes are going to go to one, the other half to the other. So then if these 92 chromosomes are split in half, how many is each cell going to get? Each cell is going to end up with 46 chromosomes. Hey, that's the same as what we started with, which is good. If I'm making a copy of a skin cell because I need to replace some skin cells, it would make sense that I would want them to be the same as the one I was copying. So one of the things I want you to write is that it makes two identical cells. Okay? The cells it makes are identical to each other. They're also identical to the parent cell. And I'm saying 46 chromosomes, that's in humans. Okay. If it's a different organism, it's going to have a different number. So if I start with 23 chromosomes, we're going to end up with 23 in each cell here. So we always make the exact same cells. If I want to replace a skin cell, we're going to make the same exact skin cells that we started with. They're not going to have more chromosomes or less chromosomes than before. All right, the last thing we're going to write are the stages. And this isn't going to, maybe you remember this, but this isn't going to make a lot of sense now. But we're going to write the stages and we're going to abbreviate them. We're only going to use the first letter. So PMATC, you just have to write this. P stands for prophase, M for metaphase, A for anaphase, T for telophase, and C for cytokinesis. You don't need to know those words yet.
they're going to be on your next page, so you don't need to worry about writing all those full words. We're just going to write PMAT-C. It's an easy way to remember the order of the stages. So to recap, okay, we have interphase. I'm going to go back to a different slide here. We have interphase. Interphase is when we're copying stuff, we're getting ready to divide, we're growing, we're doing our job. And we have mitosis. Mitosis is when we're going to split our cells in half. We're going to divide them. We haven't talked about all the little details that happen in mitosis yet, but we know that our big thing that our cells do, similar to how we do stuff every day, they do a period where they're doing their job and they're getting ready to divide. And then they have a period called mitosis where they are dividing. So here's what I would like you to do. We already filled out interphase here, okay? We're going to fill in the names of these, the names of these stages next week. But before we do that, what I would like you to do with your table mates, the people around you at your desk, okay? I want you to see what you can come up with that's going on in each of these cells, okay? So let's do one together, okay? Let's do this first one. Notice I see something labeled chromosomes here, and I don't see any of the squiggly DNA. I'm going to write down something like, I can see chromosomes, or chromosomes can be seen. That was different from this picture. Here we had that chromatin. So I'm going to write down chromosomes can be seen, okay? I see spindle fibers. Oh, look, it looks like the spindle fibers connect to the chromosomes. So I could write down spindle fibers connect to chromosomes. Can I see the nucleus anymore? Or the nuclear membrane? Oh no, I don't. Can't see the nuclear membrane. So what I want you to do is compare it to the previous picture and write down what are the differences? What are the things you can see or the things you can't see? And I need you to do that for every picture here. Okay? Don't be afraid about being wrong. We're going to go over it on Monday. I need you to write down, what do you see happening? Okay? So where are the chromosomes in the cell? Do you see the nucleus? Are there chromosomes or chromatin? Okay, so I need you to write down at least one bullet point for each of these pictures. If you can get more than one, great, but that is your job.